Some big updates from today. Multiple FBI raids taking place. One at the township home of the president of the United Auto Workers, Gary Jones. It's interesting that this is happening as part of a wider investigation into corruption in the auto industry. Also interesting that Democrats have been trying to distance themselves from various officials that have been involved in these exact sorts of investigations lately. You had Michigan Democrats scrubbing their own website and removing the name of one auto workers union official that was found recently to be corrupt. They quietly removed this name from their party website. One article pointing out former United Auto Workers Vice President Norwood Jewell was a superdelegate in the 2016 nominating race for Democrats and was set to be one of Michigan's official DNC representatives through 2020. Jewell pled guilty to corruption charges tied to the federal government's investigation into United Auto Workers' dealings with Chrysler executives on April 2nd. They say despite his admission of guilt, Jewell remained listed as a party leader on the Michigan Democrats' website. This was after he had been found guilty in these corruption charges, and they finally quietly scrubbed him after they were asked about this. They removed his name from the website. So Democrats probably not too happy to see people drawing these sorts of connections between these auto workers, union officials, these corrupt ones, and their own party. Multiple raids taking place today. So a big update on this case. They're saying that this could bring this whole probe into greater view, into closer view. They're saying federal agents investigating corruption within the U.S. auto industry Wednesday executed this series of raids in at least 3 states, including at the suburban Detroit home of United Auto Workers President Gary Jones and the California home of former President Dennis Williams. So sources are telling Detroit News, just reporting on this very recently, just some breaking news. They're saying the searches are the latest expansion of a years-long investigation into bribes, kickbacks, and attempts by auto executives to influence labor negotiations with the UAW. The investigation has led to charges against 9 people already and prison sentences for 8 people linked to the UAW. Federal agents, one picture today of FBI investigators leaving the home. You can see here, leaving the home of Gary Jones during this search. Federal agents fanned out to execute search warrants at multiple locations, including Jones' home in Canton and at the United Auto Workers Black Lake Conference Center. This was another location that they're searching today. FBI raiding this 1,000-acre retreat, this conference center for the UAW in northern Michigan. They know that this 1,000-acre retreat is financed with interest from the union's $721 million strike fund, which is bankrolled by worker dues. One public affairs officer for the FBI's Detroit branch saying that there are several search warrants being executed Wednesday across the country, including 2 in Michigan. She said she couldn't give a total number of warrants being executed by the FBI, the IRS Criminal Investigation Division, and the Department of Labor's Office of Inspector General. So interesting statement from public affairs officer saying that she is saying that there are 2 raids happening in Michigan, but she cannot give the total number of warrants being executed by the FBI. So there's more going on here. Potentially, they're saying, quote, another interesting quote here says, it is rare, if not unprecedented, to raid a United Auto Workers former or current president's house. So this is a pretty big deal. They're saying one professor saying that the timing is particularly disturbing. They know that the UAW is in the middle of negotiating its next set of 4-year contracts with the Detroit 3. Current contracts are expiring September 14th. They're pointing out that while Jones has adamantly condemned bribery that federal investigators say tainted the 2015 negotiations with the UAW and Chrysler and GM. They are predicting that today's raids could affect the current negotiation contract. Another quote says the raids may not have an impact on the negotiations, but it raises that question. One UAW spokesperson making this statement saying that the government shouldn't investigate this corruption. They should be allowed to investigate themselves instead. Sounds like that's what he's saying. He says, quote, the UAW and President Gary Jones have always fully cooperated with the government investigations into this matter. As the leader of the UAW, President Jones is determined to uncover and address any and all wrongdoing wherever it might lead. So just let us investigate ourselves. This is what sounds like Rothenberg is saying. The spokesperson for UAW goes on to say there was absolutely no need for search warrants to be used by the government today. The UAW has voluntarily responded to every request the government has made throughout the course of its investigation, produced literally hundreds of thousands of documents and other materials to the government, and most importantly, when wrongdoing has been discovered, we have taken strong action to address it. So a spokesperson again saying this is not a problem, don't investigate us, we'll investigate ourselves, we have it covered. I guess it's to be expected that they're going to try to spin it somehow, or are going to be pushing back against this on some level. They go on again to say investigators have also raided the UAW Region 5 office near St. Louis, where Jones served as regional president before being elected president last year. UAW Region 5 office in Hazelwood, Missouri also was This was also the registered address for Jones' nonprofit charity. This Hazelwood office, the 5 Game Changers, that's the name of the nonprofit charity run by Jones. The news had previously reported FBI agents are focused on whether UAW leaders personally profited from contributions to their personal nonprofits. So Jones' charity, and these charities were basically fronts for them to personally profit, these corrupt UAW officials. That's one thing that they are investigating. Agents, they say, are also had today also searched Williams' home in Corona, California, about 47 miles east of Los Angeles. Property records indicate that Williams bought the $610,000 home in January. Williams was implicated in the scandal last year when a former labor official told federal prosecutors that Williams directed subordinates to use funds from Detroit's automakers funneled through training centers to pay for union travel, meals, and entertainment. The picture here of Williams' home. This was raided today. This is the $610,000 home that he bought in January. Another former UAW official, Nancy Adams Johnson, has told investigators that Williams made the directive to relieve pressure on the union's budget. They are noting that Black Lake is of interest to agents who are investigating the UAW's building a retirement home for Williams. The news reported last year about the construction project, which came amid questions about union leaders' spending of membership dues and money from Detroit's automakers and personal luxuries, saying Williams retired in June and was implicated in the scandal 1 month later when prosecutors said he directed subordinates to use funds from Detroit's automakers for these personal expenses. Jones' home in Canton, at his home, they're saying 6 agents wearing FBI polo shirts and jackets were spotted going inside a black utility truck, a few black SUVs, and at least one black sedan were parked outside the house, and a white sedan was parked in the driveway. Some of the FBI agents were carrying brown boxes. Some of these FBI agents were carrying brown boxes into the home after arriving around 7 a.m. this morning and later leaving with boxes and several bags. A neighbor said that he noticed what was happening. He saw these raids taking place at 8:30 while on a walk with his wife. He's saying it alarmed him at the time. I've never seen anything like it. We asked if there was anything wrong. They didn't want to say anything. We just wanted to find out if everyone is okay. They said it was okay. He'd been in the neighborhood for 19 years, they said. The couple had moved in several months ago. Another quote, he says, we went over there to greet them, to be friendly. They were pretty tight-lipped. Then about 9 a.m., another neighbor said that they were on the floor counting cash, going through the wads. They pulled out a 5-tube that was a UAW banner. They were really examining the golf clubs. They also took bags, boxes, and a safe out. He said he watched the scene for about 45 minutes. They are quiet people, he added. Focus on Jones was not immediately clear, but the news last year reported that federal investigators were questioning UAW's officials' use of almost $1 million of membership dues on condominiums, liquor, food, and golf in Palm Springs, California, where Jones held annual conferences before becoming president in 2018. But again, a lot of individuals caught up already in this investigation into corruption into the auto industry. Well, let me know what you think about all of this. I'll continue to follow this as any new updates come out, any related stories as well. I do have a link in the comments to my Patreon and PayPal accounts where you can support the channel. I will follow up soon. Thanks, everyone.